All right, y'all. 306 Leland Live Talk 99.5. Allen and Company, first sponsor up this hour. We're a little bit behind. The show stays completely sold out. Whenever we go to a live news conference like we did that first hour, we get a little pushed. So, y'all bear with me and we'll get caught up here. And of course, I'm about to jump on these calls with our buddy Sam and our other buddy Clarissa as we get cranked up. I know y'all have a lot to say and probably been chomping at the bit to talk since last weekend. So, we're going to be fair to the callers today and get plenty of calls in. But first up, Allen and Company, for any of your gift giving as we head toward a graduation season and Mother's Day, and maybe you just want to treat yourself. It is not bad to treat yourself. If you see something beautiful that you would like at Allen and Company, they are a custom jeweler. So Allen can design or redesign anything you want. If you take in an old piece, maybe Mama left for you, but you want it a little bit updated or changed it from one thing to another, he can do that. If you're especially engagement settings, ring upgrades, cleaning, servicing, prongs, resizing, all this stuff is done with their hands, kept in their vault, and given back to you. So you've got that peace of mind that it never leaves Vestavia, Alabama. They're on Highway 31 on the Big Hill in Vestavia. It is Allen and Company. Y'all go see the Thompsons this spring and treat somebody or treat yourself to something nice at Allen and Company. All right, so the shooting is front and center, even though we do have a lot of calls. A lot of other stories to get to. A couple of final thoughts. I was a little raggedy in my thoughts in the first hour because we got interrupted with the news conference. But I mean, it's not finger pointing. It's not alarmist to see a pattern that is so abundantly clear with all of this political violence in the country. I mean, you had Kavanaugh was almost shot in his own home. Do you remember that? The guy chickened out at the last minute because his sister was on to him. We had the baseball field shooting of the Republicans on the baseball field. Our own Gary Palmer, who was on with us on Friday, was almost shot in that event. And Scalise was almost killed in that event. Trump, this is the third time Trump has faced a gun in recent years. And there have been attempts in the past a lot of y'all have forgotten about. By the way, the Iranians were caught 2 or 3 times plotting the assassination of Americans and cabinet officials here on the soil in the Trump era. Then, of course, the Charlie Kirk thing, I think it's lumped into the same pattern. You also have, and this belongs in this story, these transgender school shooters also whipped into a frenzy and into believing that their violent choices are justified by a mainstream body of thought in this country that justifies that kind of violence. It shows up in the political polls. There's political polling that show the younger you are and the further left you are, the more you're agreeable that violence is sometimes necessary to achieve change. The first thing that communists, the Bolsheviks, all the way back to the early 1900s in the Soviet Union and other groups that are trying to gain control of a society or a country, the first thing they do is they've got to have a villain as a target to unite their justification of their future violence. For example, the Nazis did the same thing with the Jews. And the big irony is these are the same damn people right now getting whipped into a frenzy online through social media. Goebbels would have loved to have had social media. And they're whipped into a frenzy online, some from the right. And we've got this rise of anti-Semitism that is bubbling up from what is now known as Podcastistan. These people have embraced propaganda coming from foreign sources. They're mainstreaming it here in America, and it's inevitable that that's going to lead to something too. My point to you is that this kid has never been diagnosed. I say kid, he's 31 years old, but he's younger than my kids. This guy was not diagnosed with any kind of mental illness. He's not mentally ill. We love to throw around crazy. Oh, that was crazy. This guy driven crazy. He was in this condition based on the environment in which he gets his information. And that environment is full of people that have mainstream thoughts of violence and the propagation of violence. AJ, I sent you 2 clips. Let's play the one. This is just a quick one. Here's Harris Faulkner, who was at the event, who I think is probably the best anchor on Fox News. She was at the event, saw all this stuff go down, specifically calling out Democrat leaders. I mean, you can go to Timu Obama with Hakeem Jeffries. And by the way, if you ever get near him, I would advise social distancing. I believe his kind of stupid is contagious. These people will, on one hand, talk out loud about the justification and the vilification of their political opponents when we used to just disagree. Some of you kids don't even remember that, America. I remember absolutely disagreeing with people but liking them. Nowadays, disagreement means hate and violence toward them. It's not just that you disagree over things and ideas, you disagree that they exist at all. The COVID era shoveled a lot of this stuff in here too, when people got manic about towing the line of the state's excuses about what was happening to us during COVID. And by the way, in retrospect, all of that was a lie. All of it. Every damn piece of scientific advice and social guidance we were given was completely made up to divide us and shut us in. And if you didn't go along with it, you were also vilified, including by Governor Meemaw down in Montgomery. Republicans get in on this too, because some people are so afraid of challenging conventional wisdom, they don't know how to do it anymore. When we lose the ability to do that, we lose the country. These people want an event. And if I'm going to be a little bit alarmist for just a second, what if one of these shots had killed Donald Trump? I mean, I want you to marinate in that for a minute. Last Saturday night, I was home. I don't know what y'all were doing. What if you turned the news on and he had been shot at this event by this little twerp? What do you think the country looks like today? Because I think I know, and it's something I don't even want to talk about. They're going to get what they were asking for. We got to pray that the president stays protected. They want us to descend to that. They want a civil war, and they're trying to pick a civil war. They're doing it with propaganda. They're doing it with activating these bot people that they've steeped in this stuff most of their adult lifetime. Put it this way. This dude was 31. For 10 years, Trump's been on the scene. For 10 years, they've been calling him a rapist and a Nazi and all these other unfair, unprovable, unsubstantiated things just to keep animosity and political victory on their side. And they keep losing, and that drives them even more crazy. And then they double down on the accusations. And so since this kid was 21 and in college, this is what he's believed. This is what he's heard, and then he takes it upon himself to be the hero. To these people, by the way, and he is. Listen to me, he is. They're quiet today, but there are corners of this country that have been mainstreamed, and they wish he had been able to pull it off. They won't find fault in him. You want me to, the United Healthcare CEO, you've got mainstream podcasters on the American left saying that political assassination because of the state of the healthcare industry was okay. There's some guy, I don't know who he is, out there saying that stuff today. He's still out saying it, and Democrats follow him online. That is the justification and the mainstreaming of violence, so that the next step is actual violence. I wonder how he'd feel if somebody mainstreamed that he should be shot for what he says on his podcast. I bet he'd disagree with that statement. But he's calling for violence from his side, and it is continuing today. This a-hole Jimmy Kimmel, how does he have a job? How does a mainstream network like ABC allow that kind of discussion? I'm for open freedom of debate and discussion. This guy has a functional job in a network that's supposed to be profitable for a publicly traded company with FCC licenses, including one here in Birmingham. How does that happen? Man, there's stuff to talk about. Wait a minute. Here's Harris Faulkner calling out actual elected people in the Democrat Party for saying stuff.
Governor Tim Walz, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, just a few of the Democrats who put out statements condemning political violence after the shooting. They say it is far too pervasive and has no place in America. Yet, we've heard this from those very Dems.
Is Donald Trump an existential threat to democracy? He is an existential threat to democracy.
The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, said, "No one has ever been more dangerous to this country than Donald Trump, and he is a fascist to his core." Let that sink in, and don't be a damn bit afraid of saying it, because that's exactly who he is.
An authoritarian, criminal presidency fueled by corruption and bigotry and an ascendant right-wing extremist movement. We will send a loud message to President Donald Trump that his authoritarianism is no good here.
Okay, so that you heard the cheers. That's my whole point. It's not just that vapid twit that got herself in Congress. It's the cheers. They're out there. They're at the Starbucks this afternoon. They're down there on the south side of Birmingham whining and bitching about their miserable lives because of their own poor choices and blaming other people. It's who the left is in this country. I don't have a whole lot of hope in Republicans, but at least they're not these people. These people are evil, and it's in our time, and it's real, and it manifested again this weekend. Here's Sam. Let's get started with the calls. What's up, Sam?
Hey, Leland. Boy, speaking of evil, I listened to those questions during that press conference, and what struck me was that the press who was standing in there asking those questions were wholeheartedly on the side of this attempted assassin.
Very much.
They asked questions like, about the number of shots that were fired in order to be able to write a story that would cause problems in court for the prosecution. They asked questions about, well, you mean that Trump will stay on the grounds of the White House, but like a king? Is that what you're saying? I mean, they got called out on that one at least. But the kinds of things that even the question, and this is how wicked these people are. They even had a question about his Christianity. So now they're going to try and tie this to his faith, and paint all Christians as possibly violent. I mean, that's where these people are.
100%. I mean, that's very astute. You were listening for sure. Did you hear the question too about they want to go on this story about potential friendly fire, that the agent that was shot was hit by another agent, which is highly likely in that environment with that kind of speed, that kind of congested area. They kept harping on that. That's been a theme today. So here's what they do, Sam. One, change the story. That changes the story away from the shooter and his politics. Right. Two, you have the Obamas of the world that wanted to deny motive. They keep doing this. We have a manifesto. They deny we even possibly even know why he did it, even though he admitted it. The same thing with the Charlie Kirk shooter. And then the other thing is you memory hole it like it didn't happen. The New York Times the next day did not have this story on their front page.
It's unbelievable. And, this is the very kind of stuff here. I just can't even imagine. This happened on Saturday. This is our first work day back. And the fact that they have begun this whole game, it just starts immediately that, we're going to start to twist this thing into something that it's not. There's no irony in the fact that this happened at the very dinner to honor the people who sell the slander and hatred and lies about this guy 24/7.
They almost became victims. Some of them would have become victims of their own product, right? They want deniability, that they can say what they want and there's no after effect. Did Caitlin Collins have a meeting with this guy and tell him?
If any of them had become victims, Leland, that would have been the entire story. Is how these brave reporters, eating their chicken dinner, and $5 wine had been killed by this guy. I mean, unbelievable. I listen to it and I think, I've never heard a press who is so anti-American. I've just never in my life would have ever dreamed that our press is this devoted to the destruction of this country. And I really do think, I've said for a long time that it really does come down to these people have figured what they understand at this point is that Trump has a bullseye on the money that is funding the Democrat Party, and the fact that so much of this money has been taxpayer money that they've run through NGOs, offshored it, brought it back on shore, And if he can stop that, he kills this party. And they are going after him with everything they've got. It's just vicious, though.
Yeah,
Absolutely
it was USA.
vicious.
You're correct about the money. USAID was funneling money to some of these organizations. They were sending money to the SPLC, which was sending money to hate groups, to stagecraft violence, to stoke fear on their own side, and to further fundraise. That was just last week's scandal. To me, that's part of the storytelling. They've created an ecosystem, a doom loop that they feed themselves to. For example, and I know you've got all these points, and I've got this break coming, Sam, but this Nora O'Donnell, who years ago I met in D.C. when she was still a younger reporter, just a total sleazebag of a reporter. She gets on to 60 Minutes. Trump graces them with an interview, and one of her questions is to take a would-be assassin's manifesto full of absolute indoctrination and hate and bring up the fact that he was opposed to Trump because of rape allegations, child rape allegations. She brings this up on 60 Minutes. Now, Trump's good on his feet and knows the truth, and he called her out on it. But the only reason she shoves that in there is to justify the shooter. And there is never, listen to me, if you're one of these no kings nut jobs, if I was a friend to you and I could see you, I would slap you in the face to wake you up from all this indoctrination. I would slap you straight across your face. Shake out of it. This man, there is not a single shred of evidence in the history of planet Earth that this man ever harmed a child anywhere, but they have talked themselves into believing that that's a fact, and they'll repeat it on their blogs. We had a former damn congressional candidate here in Alabama, this tub of goo that used to be a Miss America, stated as fact in a rant that she put online. You've got mainstream reporters that will interject that into an interview. You're interviewing the leader of the free world after an assassination attempt, and you bring up unfounded allegations that have no place in modern discussion, especially from a mainstream journalist, in the middle of the damn interview to sort of poison the whole atmosphere. These people are deceitful. They're deceitful.
I've seen them go after guns in this whole thing.
Oh my God,
that's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, they go after the secrets. It's just all of it is terrible. One of the greatest gifts that Rush Limbaugh ever gave us was the insight on how to digest news. Right?
Absolutely.
What are these people really saying? You know, we need a lot more of that in this country.
Well, I'm doing my best. Thank you, Sam. Good call, brother. That was an excellent phone call. He broke it down. Y'all, 545-9950 if you got something to say about it. I'm just so disgusted with all this. Alabama Dental, don't have disgusting teeth. That's the only segue I could come up with on the fly. Seriously, go get your teeth checked. They clean them. They check them. They've got 4 dentists and expanded hours and all the specialty work and expertise you would need at Alabama Dental. Dr. Bryan's my personal dentist there, and they'll just keep you on track. Go there twice a year, get checked, get ahead of things like that. Man, you could wind up in so much pain. Man, have you ever had tooth pain on a Saturday and you couldn't find a dentist? You're hoping for Monday just so they'll answer the phone to get you in on Wednesday, and you're going to hurt. Man, Alabama Dental is there for you even on Saturdays. Make them your dentist, alabamadental.com. Y'all, Douglas Cooling and Heating bringing you the show tonight. This is the company that come out and tune you up, fix you up, clean you up, whatever you need. Service work is essential. Some of you know it's on the last leg. Before we get into 95-degree weather, go ahead and take care of it while you're in it was kind of nice today. You probably could have done without your air for a little while they do the work. If you need a new install, trust me on that one. Don't get caught with a janky system in the thick of summer. It's just miserable. And you'll be waiting in line behind people that also have their systems go out during the peak periods. Douglas is just the best. They're going to be doing an additional install for me this summer too. I'm looking forward to it. Asking me detailed questions about the projects. They get it right. It's just a great company. Been on the air with us for 17 years. CallDouglas.com. CallDouglas.com. License number 2017181. Clarissa, you got about a minute. Go.
Cool. I just wanted to say the argument about the ballroom is ridiculous because he is trying to improve that ballroom for every future president of the United States. He proved this weekend that it's not about him. It is about the office of the president of the United States, and that the left is so desperate to throw any argument at the wall trying to get something to stick is ridiculous. He's not necessarily making improvements to Mar-a-Lago. This is the home of the president of the United States, and I wish that the left would grow a brain.
Good Lord, she's good, man. She nailed it. Just right on time. Thank you, Clarissa. I got stuff to say about the ballroom, too. On the other side, your phone calls as well. Leland Live, Talk 99.5. Y'all stay tuned. All right, y'all. Crocker Moving Services. Y'all know all about Crocker. What a wonderful company. If you've got anything planned to move, there's an uptick in moving in the late spring, summer. It's just that time of year. There's a lot of change in those times of the year. Kids going off to school. Maybe y'all want to consolidate. A lot of home sales happen over the summer. You got to get stuff moved. Y'all can trust Crocker. Eric's a great guy. I mean, just a great guy with a Marine background. And I always bring that up, one, because we salute his service. But secondly, because it's kind of the perfect training to be able to get some big, strong guys to do all the right stuff at the right time, the right way. And that's just moving, man. Turning corners, heavy objects, stairs, all that difficult stuff you and I are not good at and hate doing. Let them handle it. It's CrockerMovingServices.com. Now, my son didn't hire Crocker, but I was on the phone with my New York kid. He'll be moving in June. And I was struggling with whether I could get up there to help him. And for the first time, AJ, I felt like a success as a parent, even though this kid's a highly trained surgeon and spent all these Ivy League schools. He said this to me. He said, "No, I'm just going to hire a mover, Dad. We're kind of too old for that." It's like, did angels come down from on high and sing hosannas in my backyard? I was like, seriously, tell me more. He goes, "Oh, it's just not worth it." It's like, I tell people that every day about Crocker. So if it's a big move for them, and they're moving to a whole nother city. But that's the way you got to think sometimes. It's just you just got to let the pros handle it. CrockerMovingServices.com, CrockerMovingServices.com. Man, I've been on fire since I walked in. I'm just checking on you. You all right? You good?
Man, I'm good
weekend,
brother. I'm too blessed to be depressed, brother.
Yeah,
Can't
man.
complain.
Hey, our friend Brady, let me give him another shout out. I don't know if he's able to listen. I probably should have reached out to get him. In fact, if you're listening, Brady, and I'll text him later, I'd love to get his take on the security portion of this. I don't want to drag Brady into the politics of it because that's sort of my field. But having been exposed to some of the security, let's flip to that for just a minute. I was going to, by the way, thank Brady. He's close with AJ as well, and we've all just known each other for years. Brady and I got to know each other through a mutual security elected official. Brady worked for the former governor, and I worked for the former governor, and that's really kind of how we got to know each other. And this is his field, executive security, and that kind of training for people. And let me just apply some. The ballroom came up with Clarissa, who just nailed that phone call too. We've had already out of the gate just some of the best calls already this week. But the Washington Hilton is a complex. It's not a single hotel with a front door and a ballroom. We have hotels like that here in Alabama. You go in them and you almost walk straight into the ballroom. It's multi-layered. This guy was on a different floor as the president, but at one point would have had a big shooter position had he gotten into position. He had a good plan, but a bad plan. It was a target-rich environment. He timed it well. He got close enough. I thought about other incidents in our history when we look at security because the president's chief of staff is having everybody come in to review all that happened because you've got to do that. You got to learn. And there'll be a lot of backseat armchair quarterbacks, people that have never had to work security in their lives, cherry picking slow mode video of how the Secret Service behaved or didn't behave in this incident. In my estimation, they stopped the threat. That's their job. But if y'all remember all the way back to the 70s, Squeaky Fromme, you remember that name? She shot at Ford by getting him on a rope line. John Hinckley Jr. caught President Reagan coming out the back door of the same hotel. He saw the motorcade and just waited on him to walk out. He walked up off the street. We had an incident one time. Some of y'all remember this video. Reagan is giving a speech, and some guy just walked on the stage. And he turned around, and they accosted him. He didn't have a weapon. Presidents are approached, and because of the country we have, our presidents are exposed to the public. It's amazing to me we haven't had more incidents, to be honest with you. Do y'all remember when some Middle Eastern reporter threw a shoe at George W. Bush? Bush is standing there giving a news conference, and it's an insult in Islam to throw a shoe at somebody, the sole of your shoe. And this guy threw two shoes. He threw one, and then he threw another, like he had an assault shoe gun. That was just, I can't remember the year of that one. We've had incidents, close calls, people to clearly threats to the White House on a regular basis. I think it was just last week we had a dude jump the fence and get tackled by Secret Service right there in the middle of the White House. So now let's pivot to the ballroom. The media have taken the wrong side of this from the beginning. Not only is Trump improving the place, but he's doing it with private funds, which no other president in history would think to do because they don't come from his background. These people are all with their hands out. It's taxpayer money or their campaign donors. They expect everything to be free to them. This guy went and raised the money and contributed himself, as Clarissa said, to future presidents. He'll barely get to use it. It won't be done to almost the very end of his term. And if these tacky-ass Democrats win, $100 says they won't even invite him to come and be part of anything at the ballroom that he built. Now, the ballroom project, we've learned after a court filing, and some of that was discussed in the news conference today, there is a group that is sued to stop the construction after we've already done the demolition. And the judge in the case indicated that the government, the military, could continue with their part of it, and the opulent part where we would host events is on hold. Then that got lifted, so they're still working on it until the case is being heard. The Justice Department today has moved. They filed a motion to just get the court to dismiss it. It's a moot point right now in light of yesterday's events. Trump immediately brought it up when he did his news conference just an hour or so after the shooting attempt. So the ballroom. What's going on is this. The military has long wanted to expand a huge underground bunker that's under that White House facility. It is the most secured bunker facility on planet Earth. You can't get in it as many times as people have tried. It is designed to be drone proof. And with the advent of modern technology, particularly small, hard to see, hard to detect drones and their lethality, the military a while back, as this technology has come along, wanted to grow the size and fortify even deeper the bunker under the White House. Now, this is not stuff it's kind of an open secret in D.C. because it's hard to hide the construction. Some of it started during the Obama term. And you remember all the loud noises? There'd be reporters standing around and didn't even know what was going on, but they could constantly hear digging all underneath the White House structure. Some of that digging caused damage to the White House because the White House is old. It's been burned down before. It's seen its share of attacks. But they're trying to preserve the historical surface that we all know is the White House. But the military's long had these plans to go deeper and to make it larger underneath its position in Washington, D.C. Makes sense, right? We're living in dangerous times. We've got foreign threats that now have lethality. For all they know, before Trump took them out last month, the Iranians could have put an ICBM through the White House. Some of the planes on 9/11 were targeted at D.C., and I think the Capitol was supposed to be the target of the Flight 93, but the White House could easily have been a target from the air that way too. So the bunker is essential. Most people agree with that. Maybe not the self-loathing, whiny-ass, bitter, fun-sucking, evil Democrats and their enablers, but they can get bent. The rest of us, rational people, are having a security conversation about what this nation needs to do for all of our presidents and their staffs and their cabinet officials day in and day out going forward. It's not just about events. I need to really dig in on that, pun intended, so that you understand there is a big project that was being proposed to go deeper and wider underneath the White House. The president, because he's a developer and sees the world that way, I've talked about this repeatedly in my limited exposure to these people, they all see dirt and can see something there. You have to have that vision. That's his life. He said, knowing that the event space at the White House is too small, it limits access. Today, ironically, we had the shooting last night. We got a king here today. Now, King Charles I don't like him either. I don't even watch the coverage. I don't even care. He's a putz. As they say in Britain, he's a twat, an Islamic twat. But he's here, and you got to go through the whole motions of entertaining. It's a state-style visit. There are always events. Everybody in Washington, including these jackasses that were in that room today in the questioning and at the ball the other night, they will pretend that there's something opulent or distasteful about a ballroom, but every damn one of them will take a ticket and go to these events The whole town, trust me on this, runs on these black tie affairs, state dinners, and things like we saw on Saturday night. They all love it. They get in line. It's a see and be seen kind of thing. None of them are going to really get close to the president, but they all want to be there. The women want to wear the gowns, and the guys have got to go, and everybody wants to be seen. They're all shaking hands and looking past each other, and that's just how Washington works. It is a very social culture. Stuff gets done that way. Sometimes bad stuff. But you got to have a place to hold these things. And so the president said, why don't we put a giant ballroom on top of the bunker? And the public didn't get that version of the story to start with. They just got Trump and his vision for a ballroom. And then immediately it turned into, because Trump likes it, these bedwetters have to hate it. And now we got a lawsuit that is completely pointless. And Saturday night's event points out that all presidents, including this one, need to have a place to entertain these things. You could put hundreds, if not thousands, more in the room for events like the King's visit, or so that our country can project power and opulence to the rest of the world, so we make the proper statement when we have foreign dignitaries and other events. And then there's the security apparatus. There's the projection of power and the dignity of it, and then there's the security of it that makes all the sense in the world. It needs to go forward. Everybody needs to shut up about that and go back to fighting over something else, because it's just stupid. And so now back-to-back events prove that Trump had vision and is correct about it anyway. And I suspect the court's eventually going to toss that suit out, and this is going to get done. They just don't like it when he wins. The thing they hate about the ballroom the most, listen to me because I know what I'm talking about. The thing the pinko, commie, bedwetting booger eaters hate about the ballroom the most is that it's a good idea, and they didn't think of it. And they wouldn't have thought to have it privately funded. And they know good and damn well they'll take the first ticket to the first event they can get their little grubby, nasty little nubby-ass booger-eating fingers on. You guarantee that. Just like them, they've been criticizing Kash Patel for 2 weeks, saying he's drunk. What did they do as soon as there was a shooting event outside in the lobby? Some of them were stealing wine and champagne from the tables as they left. Some of them were chugging whole bottles, just standing there. They didn't get their mashed potatoes, so some of these scuzzy hoes were tipping up whole bottles of wine, just chugging. They were just passing it around like it was weed. Did you see the images of that?
I did.
Turned out one of them was, we believe one of them is the ambassador from the Ukraine, if that's not funny enough.
I mean, look, he is from Ukraine. So.
It was a she.
Well,
she was
Ukraine.
snatching bottles.
Hey, look.
These hypocrites. These are hypocrites among a town full of hypocrites is what they are. Birmingham Broker, bringing you the show tonight, BHAMBroker.com. Y'all get in here. Let me talk to you. If you got a car deal to do this year, do it with Birmingham Broker. I'm going to save you some money. I'm telling you, this is the way to do it. Craig and Keith just have a great operation. They'll broker your car out into the world and get it sold. Retail, not wholesale. A proper dealer is only going to sell you a wholesale car, or pay you wholesale for your car. He'll sell you his car retail. It ain't fair, but that's how the business works, and I don't blame them. They're trying to make money. Don't let them make your money. Go sell it retail with Birmingham Broker. They'll do all the work. You'll get the check. Then you can go haggle and get you a new one somewhere around town. There's some nice cars out there nowadays. This is a great service. I'll never trade a different way again because I'm not stupid. The math works. BHAMBroker.com. Y'all go see them downtown Birmingham, 4th Avenue South, BHAMBroker.com. All right, it's 3:53, Leland Live, Talk 99.5, Southern Skies Dermatology. Let's talk. Y'all need to get checked. We all need to be checked on a regular basis for skin cancer. It's hard to detect on your own. You can look at pamphlets. You can try to figure it out, but sometimes it can look absolutely meaningless and be very, very dangerous and can spread quickly. There are aggressive forms of melanoma that can quickly travel internally. That's a whole different set of treatment. That is completely different than having a removal from the surface of the skin. So you want to catch it early, and that is 100% on you. Can't do anything about it but tell you where to go. And that's Southern Skies Dermatology. This is all they do is skin cancer. They find it, they remove it. They're dedicated to this with the technology, the trained eyes. You know, it's still the human eye is one of the best detectors, and they've got their equipment. And I'm telling you, it's one of the easiest medical exams you'll ever do. You just go in there and sit down. They take a look, then you're done. If they find something and you come back for your surgical visit, it's all done in one visit because they have the Mohs procedure. It's the only way you ever want to get this done is Mohs. Mohs is they check it as they go, and then they know they've gotten it, and they can stop when they've got it all instead of taking out too much tissue. That's great on a number of fronts. It's southernskiesdermatology.com, southernskiesdermatology.com. Okay. So many things to pivot to. We'll stick with the shooting incident this weekend, and then I'll take y'all up to the top. We'll take more of your phone calls. They produced in the news conference today pictures of the weapons. And this dude had a 12-gauge pump with a pistol grip. It was a Mossberg. Some of y'all have these. I've got two of these. I don't have the one with the pistol. Well, I do. I have a little short one called a Shockwave because it's compact and it's portable. And this one had a foldable stock on it, and it looks a lot like the Shockwave. He had one of those sort of mag-style grippy where you can put 5 shells underneath it. I think that one holds 5 in the tube, 1 in the chamber. So I don't know how much he had chambered or whether he had them all loaded or what. But he didn't get very far. He got off at least one shot with the Mossberg, and that is all we know about that gun. It does have a sling on it, which is interesting. So I'm thinking about apparently his background includes in preparation for this is a lot of training at the ranges. And we understand that he might have brought these guns with him all the way from California. The other interesting thing, I didn't know about this till later in the day, he took that trains as opposed to flying. Anybody want to guess why? Anybody want to guess why? Because of the guns. The train security of transporting weapons onto a train with your luggage, I think, the one time, AJ, did we ever get searched? We took a train trip years ago. Or me and some buddies of ours took a train trip. Remember, it's the only time I've ever taken Amtrak. I don't think they looked at our bags.
No.
We schlepped those things on the train, and I know all throughout Europe, they don't search your bags through any kind of magnetometers. Trains are a little less vulnerable. You know, they don't fall out of the sky with threats of a bomb. So he probably, that was a way to evade maybe also facial recognition, screening, and heavier security protocols with airports, and he wouldn't have to check the weapons and raise any red flags with that. And I guess it beats driving. So apparently he went from California to Chicago and then Chicago over to D.C. And because he had planned this for so long, the target of opportunity came up when it was announced that Trump was going to attend this White House Correspondents' Dinner. And that's when he bought his ticket or booked his hotel stay on April the 26th. So this happened 2 days ago. So 18 days prior, this guy had enough heads up of where the president would be, including all of these dignitaries in his cabinet, that he was able just to find out that he could get his bag, get his weapons in that building well in advance of the screening apparatus going up around the president. Pretty smart. As dumb as some of his plan was, thinking he was going to bum rush security, we found out that they're quicker than he was. But at the same time, he was methodical and thoughtful. An insanity defense doesn't seem likely, and we'll go on from there. Now, I heard one of the callers talk about some of the media trying to deflect from the fact that this guy's kind of your typical leftist. Let me say that again. He isn't fringe. He isn't radical. He's mainstream. And the quicker y'all can get your head around that, the more you'll understand what we're dealing with in this country right now. This guy could be anywhere around Birmingham this afternoon. These people have gone off the deep end. They're extreme in their beliefs, emotionally charged, and violent. and they repeat it. How many times have they got to do this stuff for us not to accept that? This isn't a one-off. This isn't an incident. This is a pattern. It's all in the news. It's been in the news. Most of you can recall these incidents. Pretty low tech too, if you think about it. He also had knives on him. A lot of people were confused about what do you think he was going to do with knives? That's called a plan. If a gun jams and the other gun jams, he's got redundancy. It's how an engineer thinks. Stu was an engineer. Redundancy is part of their training. So at the very least, he's going to whip a knife out and take some lives to get a body count, because in his mind, he's playing a video game justified by his left-wing beliefs. It's crazy, man. Situation's nuts. Work Trucks is in downtown Birmingham. If you got a business or an organization and you need a service vehicle, a commercially based truck to get you and your stuff around town, y'all reach out to Work Trucks. Man, these guys have got what you need probably on the lot, pre-owned, gone through 125 points. I've said it so many times, I don't even know if there are 125 things I would know to check. But they do. They got a strict protocol or it doesn't go on the lot. Box trucks and flatbeds and cargo vans and passenger vans and service body vehicles of all shapes and sizes. They got bucket trucks. They got crane trucks. They got plain old pickups just to haul all your junk around. It's Work Trucks. Put an X in there when you spell it if you want to see the inventory online. TRUX, WorkTrucksLLC.com, WorkTrucksLLC.com. Here's the 1819 news.